everything. There we go. Let's start a game. Invite you. Oh. So what missions can't you do co-op? Because they're ones I'm going to have to do solo, aren't they? I know the Reznov one you can't do.
I have no idea. I've never played co-op, so.
Ah.
I had a hell of a time playing this campaign. Then I realized I could just to play zombies, and then I realized I could have just console command my way to zombies. And
yeah, exactly. Hello Wide and hello Creeper in the chat. I didn't even schedule this stream and they're straight in there.
I try to schedule and I only get like nobody.
What's wrong?
I never get anyone in my streams. I don't care though. I just play them for fun.
Yeah, exactly. What does sympathy actually mean again? I always look this up and then forget it.
I can't remember. It's a Marine thing.
Yeah. They shout it at you in GTA. Yeah.
It's a Marine dude. It means always faithful.
Ah.
It's the Marine Corps motto.
I see. Is that Latin?
Yeah.
Yeah. First time we fight the Japanese in COD as well, isn't it? I played through COD 3 just about a week ago before this, and you play as the Polish, the Canadians, everyone. What I will do is turn this up a tad more.
Miller, you're okay. Thank God. We're gonna make them pay for what they've done. Fuckers.
Oh, I get to play Private Klein.
What? Oh.
It like I got to see the whole cutscene until like right up there at the end when you go to pick up the gun.
Oh, yeah,
and it just swapped me into like some random private.
Yeah, it's because it's rendered in game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I mean, they started doing with Black Ops 3's cutscenes so that people couldn't like hack them or data mine to find them before they were actually completed in the Easter eggs. But now you get, because they're rendered in game, whatever conditions you have in game, you've got people dying during the cutscenes, or you've got like raps rolling around in Goro Krovi's cutscene.
Yeah, right.
I find that hilarious. Is there? I need to type 100.
I think they did part of that too, so that people could see their custom characters in campaign.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Yeah. Can't remember what difficulty we were on. Were we on just regular? Oh, shot friendly. I did put him out of his misery. I should get points for that. Oh, another friendly.
Okay, cool. I have my keys bound correctly.
Huh.
It's been a long time since I've played this.
Yeah. This is basically just COD 4 but set in World War II, isn't it? The engine's exactly the same. It feels the same.
It might be. I don't know. I don't think... it's been a long time since I played Call of Duty 4, too. I've got it at my dad's house on the old PS3, but I don't even think it's hooked up right now.
Oh, yeah.
I got all the Modern Warfare series there.
Yeah, I have them across all different consoles, so it's a bit hit and miss, really. I have most on PC now, which is good.
I've only got the Zombies series, with the exception of 3.
Tojo's at home in this shit.
Which ones?
I've got World at War, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 2.
All right, with the exception of 3, I see. Not 3 as in the number, 3. But number.
No, it's in Black Ops 3. Yeah, I can see the confusion. Why is control lay down? That's weird.
Yeah. Oh, it's loads of this in this campaign, isn't it? Kamikaze Bonsai. Like every corner Oh, something suspicious. Kamikaze bonsai!
Why am I running so slow?
Pick up the pace, people.
Was this that mud part?
Right, Origins mud.
I don't know. I was like running like uber slow. That was weird. I'm okay
This
now.
Nambu sprinting anim I'm trying to work out because I think we'll use this generic anims I've been told. Because I ported it to Black Ops 3 and it looks stupid when I run with it. I think I use a different guns running anim for it though. Just because it doesn't have one. But that's me thinking aloud.
I went back and tried to play Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1 a while ago, and I got stuck on that stupid level where you're in the trenches in Nam and all those dudes are just running up the hill at you.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't freaking remember how I got past it. I wasn't even that on that high of a difficulty. I just kept trying to like get to the corner, and every time I tried to get to like the underside of the trench, some dude would just come up and beat me over the head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one. They're just everywhere.
Because it's just a non-stop wave of enemies.
Yeah. I know, you try and get out and send those red barrels down, but you get shot up every time.
Right.
I found the way to do it is because you've got characters with plot armor like Woods. You can just sit behind Woods as he walks ahead. He takes the bullets and doesn't actually die. Another trap.
What the hell? Who took these guys out? Radio command. Find out if another unit came in ahead of us. Ambush! Boom! Boom!
Oh, so they do get up. I did just shoot one, but he still gets up. Oh, I'm down.
Yeah,
The nade, yeah.
grenades in this game are insane.
I know, you turn the difficulty up, all they do is throw more grenades.
Yeah. Ooh, where's the M1? Who died and dropped their M1? You did. Give it to
No,
me.
not me, no.
No, some random guy did.
Alright.
Where's the top 100? That's what I wanted.
The Type 100 actually looks really nice if you don't have your wrist in the way here. Right, it's got. Oh, I'm down again. Don't know what got me.
I keep getting stuck on our teammates.
Yeah, that is one of the.
Keep getting in my way.
That's got to be in my top 5 of most annoying things in gaming. Oh, this wind is blowing my door open and shut. One of the top 5 most annoying things in gaming, when you're in cover and AI comes along and just pushes you out of cover.
Yeah, or just like messes with you entirely. And what about walking levels? Is that a Call of Duty's notorious for that, where you just have to like listen to exposition and walk around, and it's like, just give me a cutscene. I don't need to walk here. That seemed unnecessary. I think this campaign is cool. I think that at the time it was good, and this is one of those campaigns that everybody just remembers at the time and thinks it's way better than it is. Because there's a lot of just like BS moments in this campaign. With just like the grenade spam of the enemies and the range of the grenades being able to basically kill you if they're on your screen.
I think it's quite repetitive, the kamikaze bonsai thing. Like, give the enemies, I know they're ruthless enemies and stuff, and you keep reiterating that, but give us a bit of diversity in missions. Like, COD 4 was good for that.
Yeah.
Because one mission you're in a helicopter, the next...
You're a troop of X army trying to invade or take back your land. Well, Russia's basically just taking back their land. Everyone else is just invading wherever they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. But I don't need to do it for 13 missions that each last 25 minutes.
Yep. Right, planting the explosives in... Oh, they are friendlies.
I think that's the big thing, is that like everyone remembers co-op, and this is way more fun already than when I played it by myself.
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, this game was great," and it's like, I mean, co-op was pretty cool, but that doesn't make it amazing.
Yeah, the only thing you lose is the story in co-op, because like we're doing now, we're talking and we're not listening really to the dialogue.
That's what's going on.
I've got subtitles, but I'm not really paying attention because I'm being shot at.
Me neither. But Black Ops 3 is a great example of this. You can play co-op, but the story still sucked.
Oh, the story in Black Ops... Black Ops 3 is the worst campaign I've ever played, honestly.
Easily, yeah. Well,
they experimented, which I'll give them props for doing, but it was terrible.
You know, it's a game that shouldn't have been Black Ops 3, but the Black Ops name, I think you talked about this before, carries so much weight. But they're just like, we'll just call it Black Ops 3. And the only way it was connected is they name dropped Raul or Menendez's name one time in the campaign. They're just like, oh, it's thanks to him that all these weapons showed up. And it's like, they could easily have plugged in any generic terrorist.
In Black Ops 3 Zombies, they came up with a way of connecting both, even Origins, connecting both buried endings, sort of. But in all the different endings of the campaign in Black Ops 2, they
only one of them.
Well, no, because they do it so broadly, it can apply to all, but it's just it feels cheap that how it's just a quick mention of him. Like it could relate to any. They could say what actually happened was he did this, but no.
I don't know.
Because Black Ops 2 did link into Black Ops 1 easily. Like you start off as Mason's son, and you find out all the shenanigans that your fathers had to deal with from this brutal dictator. I'm red again because I've got this blimmin' Arizaka, and all these guys don't have a proper gun. Head to the boat, is he saying? Yeah, I think we were supposed to. Oh, there we go.
Oh. I was like, what happened? Because I wasn't over there, so I'm just like, I'm dying.
Oh, I'm gonna have to shut this window because this wind is ridiculous.
So I guess now would be a good time to ask what's your opinion on the whole ending of Black Ops 3 Zombies?
I like it. I don't think people understood it very well. People understand it now since I contacted Reed and then Reed explained that. Basically, it just loops. It connects the loop. It connects the ending. I like how it sets everything back. You even saw that in the intro cutscene, how they send 115 back to the original dimension and Origins. It starts both those loops going. They wait to be called.
And I guess I'm in the minority here. I hate what happened to this storyline.
Right.
Because it started off like, let's take World at War, and I get the ideas that it wasn't supposed to be what it became, so the story's pretty limited in this game.
Yeah, yeah.
But it starts off with like something very simple. Okay, German scientists are creating or experimenting with this weird element they discovered. And what's also weird is there is an element 115 now. But at the time, there wasn't.
Yeah.
At the time there wasn't, so okay, fair enough. But and it's got some weird abilities that happen, and they found out they can control like undead soldiers, and they're gonna create, an undead army. And then it started branching off into things where like, oh, there's time travel and like some weird supernatural stuff going on.
That was still fine though, wasn't it? Back then,
I was down for that. I'm like, okay, it's pretty simply explained. And then Shadows of Evil came out, and I was hoping it would be a Mob of the Dead thing where it was just like all by itself. But then Richtofen shows up in the Easter egg, and now all of a sudden there's interdimensional aliens, there's beings that have existed since the beginning of time that have infinite power, and it just, all of a sudden, what you're doing doesn't seem to matter anymore. If Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man have so much power, why do we care? Why doesn't the Shadow Man look at us and eviscerate us from time? Why doesn't... If the Apothicons are so ancient, why don't they just eat us and kill us? Why doesn't Dr. Monty erase the Shadow Man? Why doesn't he... If the Shadow Man can summon the Apothicons, why can't Dr. Monty get rid of them?
It's the whole thing of those two being, like Monty's quote, two ends of the same worm, where basically they... have you seen Lost, the TV series?
I've seen most of it.
Yeah. You know, there's the two guys, Ethan and the Smoke Monster or whatever. They're like brothers. It's sort of like, I'm guessing it's sort of like that sort of thing where they can't kill each other. They have to get other people to do it, sort of as a proxy way.
Okay, fair enough. It just okay. So there's one mystery solved, but then and the worst part for me is that so Treyarch releases that map, and it covers every single thing that has ever happened ever, and that sounds like a good thing, but it drops it into such small random details.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's like, oh, here's an interview with Blundell, and someone will be like, oh, you know that piece of paper we found in World at War and Shino Numa lying in the middle of some back-ass corner, what does that mean? And he'll just be like, oh, I can't tell you that. And it's like, you don't know. It didn't mean anything. You can say it didn't mean anything at the time, you know. You can say that, but everything has to be some secret. Like they had some master plan.
There was this
10 years ago.
How am I down? There was this one time I was watching an interview. I think it was the Zombros. Reed was interviewing Blundell, and call it in. There we go. And basically, Blundell was gearing up, ready to say, "Oh, I can't answer that." But then Reed was like, "But in all honesty, here, this is something." And then, like, he was being like truly from his heart. Reed was asking this question, and Blundell was like, "Oh God, I can't just say it. I can't be cryptic with this." And he actually gave the straight answer.
Yeah, that frustrates me too. It's like, okay, you created this thing that I'm kind of annoyed with, but all right, fair enough. And it really, to me, felt like, because like Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man are so okay. I like how they set up the Shadow Man in Shadows of Evil. You know, it's like you think he's just again some sort of mystical inner world thing that only exists. You know, but then he turns out to be this thing, and it's like, okay, cool. But then Dr. Monty shows up at the end of Garad Krovi and is apparently this huge character that's supposed to be around forever, and they have to introduce him in the series of one map.
God. I know a lot of people have issues with that, but that's something I'd like him. I like how it was suddenly like, oh, hello, I've been here this whole time. I just don't like the way
that they set him up, because he becomes very confusing to try to understand. You know, what he is, what he can do. You know, at least the Shadow Man gets an entire map.
Yeah, he never even called himself Monty, like, straight away when we first heard him on, like, round 14 or whatever it was. We just sort of went, oh, I wonder if this is Monty. Monty's a British name. He's British, guessing it's Monty.
You know, and it's one of those things where like his gumballs show up, and you just assume it's another, you know, generic doctor that's shown up around. Yeah,
now we've got Newton. Why are these grenades? And then we get Newton's cookbook.
Yeah,
as well, right? And we have to think of Newton as a guy.
It got ridiculously. I think it's still cool. I still like the series. I think that they tried to end it with Origins, and then everyone hated it. So then they had to go back and say, "Oh shit, how do we save it?"
Have you seen Play the Games?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, have you seen Play the Games? Sort of their leak on, well, not the leak, but what they've had internally, and sort of been slowly releasing. Although
I haven't watched them in a long time.
Right,
because
I haven't watched.
Back when I used to watch them, they kind of derived far away from what they used to.
Yeah.
I know they've kind of gone back to it, but
I haven't been watching them, but I'm good friends with an ex-director from there, so
oh cool.
He told me basically what their entire leak was, and then I put up some of it on YouTube. And basically there was two ways they were going to go after the ending of Buried. This intel comes way back from then, so things may have changed, but they had two plans. Either they did what they were going to do in Black Ops 3 and sort of close up, like kind of take the characters, try and get them to start create fresh versions of themselves, the children, which turns out to be, like, and set everything right, or they were just going to go linearly and just sort of introduce a world which is after Maxis has destroyed it, or Richtofen has enslaved everyone, and it's sent back to the Stone Age, and we're sort of getting humanity back to what it's...
I would totally have rather have seen that.
That's what everyone says. I kind of like it tying off, but Black Ops 3 was definitely consciously... Watch out, airstrike. Consciously chosen... oh god, I'm killing my team with that. was consciously chosen to be about the characters rather than about the setting, which World at War and Black Ops 1 were all about.
And I appreciate that, but maybe I'm in the minority. I could care less about the characters at this point.
I know.
It's been it's been
just
like 10 years.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know Black Ops 2 was kind of crappy, especially the characters they gave us in replacements. But I appreciate them trying, giving us some new people we've never seen before. You know, Mob of the Dead was great because we had all new characters. We got to learn about them in a single map.
Yeah.
And they had depth to them. You know, you hear things where like Weasel doesn't want to kill people because he's just in there for like tax fraud or something.
Yeah.
You know, he never actually killed anybody. You know, and like, you know, all that stuff. And then like, oh shoot, who was Ray Liotta's character? Billy, I think.
Yeah.
Was so eager to fight people because he's the guy who would kill everybody.
Yeah,
you know?
you saw those
like,
traits come through, yeah.
You know, stuff like that, and it was so cool. And then of course they have to go back and tie in Mob of the Dead.
Oh,
in the map, too.
yeah.
And it's like, Mob of the Dead never connected. Don't tell me that it did, you know.
Well, actually, the events that we play in don't go on, but the ones that went on, you know, like the real thing where, like, it was they just lure him to the roof and then he dies, that's the only bits that's tied in. I kind of like that, how it's not... Wow, that was me, sorry. I airstrike... You know how objects have a clip round them where even if you lean round the side and shoot, you still hit it?
Oh,
I did that with the airstrike. So now it's down me.
You airstriked yourself.
Yeah. But,
tactical nuke incoming.
Yeah, I like how that wasn't... I like how that wasn't exact. That was sort of left alone, because that was definitely... Well, it was created just as a one-off thing. But I don't mind.
You know what? I would rather see the next. Now I know what they're gonna do is they're gonna go back to like they're just gonna bring them back.
Yeah.
In the next game, and they're gonna be like a Black Ops 4 or whatever, and they're gonna be back in time, and they're gonna be like gods or whatever because of the whole staves and the night.
Oh, I don't think we're gonna see that. I think we're going to see the children based off the leaked information I was given. The whole thread to the next game is the children, but.
I would totally rather just see a game of zombies where either do what like Infinite Warfare is doing right now, where one game is just like its own little story, and then the next game is going to be its own little story, and they don't connect in any way.
Yeah.
Or I would like to see a game of maps that are all just independent.
Possibly, but that's the thing about Treyarch though. Now they now offer this thing which develops further, and we go, oh, where are we going in the next game? I kind of like that, but I definitely see that. I like the fact that it's just sort of episodic in Infinite Warfare. Like they tell a story throughout a game. It's a cool episode to go through.
Yeah, and Exo Zombies did a similar thing. It wasn't nearly as good. I would argue that Infinite Warfare's Zombies is just as good. It's just telling a different type of story. And that's what everybody doesn't seem to understand.
Oh yeah, it's definitely taking the myth out of old trends and stuff.
You know, everybody's grenade. Oh, this is lame. Like when the oh shoot, what was it called? Shaolin Shuffle came out. The goofy 70s kung fu movie.
Yeah.
You know, everyone looked at it and was like, oh, compare this to the trailers from Black Ops 3 and laugh. This is retarded. And it's like, but they're not telling the same story. This is supposed to be a goofy episodic movie with dark undertones.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what it's portraying.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, look at what's actually happening, but the movies themselves are just goofy movies throughout time. And I think they've done it very well.
You know, that was shown by like Attack of the Radioactive thing. Attack of the Radio what? Thing. Like it's clearly shown it's taken the mic. What's that?
That was my phone, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
One thing
and it's like a 50s war movie.
Yeah. One thing I did want to say is, and what I would really want to see follow up further, is the whole Cold War thing. We saw 5, where the Americans were experimenting with 1 and 5. Then we saw, what did we see? Ascension, where it's the Russians, and then that's it. I thought Black Ops 1 was going to be kind of Cold War.
Yeah,
like the arms race, the two sides, but no, we jump back to Germany, then we jump to this mystery place, and then we go to the moon. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that maybe a bit too. That'd be cool. Or even, well, no, because then, I mean, I guess we learned about the Japanese in what was it, Division 9 in Zetsubu no Shima. I feel like they did a good job at that.
Yeah.
Showing off like, oh, look what this other group was doing during this time, and
Yeah.
They needn't go into too much more detail. I think we kind of understood, almost in a way that it was worse than what Division or Group 935 was doing.
Yeah.
It's like
weird.
weird
They would even like treat their own, well, not treat, but use their own people,
right,
against them. And there's the whole. Jason did do a good job of highlighting each of the stereotypes in quotation marks, their kind of countries' attitudes to thing. For example, Nikolai wouldn't surrender. Takio would be like, but it's all about honor, and he was misled because of his love for the Emperor and all of that. He was blinded by it.
All the stories surrounding Dempsey in like the lore in this, and then you kill him when he's asleep.
Yeah.
but you're right. Richtofen sees himself and is caught by his own vanity, doesn't believe that, and he's just like amazed at himself that he sees, and then he just kills himself.
Yeah.
Look, another booby trap.
Yep. I hated this campaign the first time I played it, but now I like it. I don't know why. It just seemed everything was made very monotonous and boring.
I think I also hated it because all I wanted to do was play zombies, and I had to play like all the freaking missions in this game. And then I looked it up later, and I could have console command myself up to the last mission, played it, and unlocked the zombies mode. And I was like, really? I spent like 15 hours playing, droning on through this campaign, just for nothing.
Yeah, I've just been told off for saying Shangri-La's a mystery place. They're saying it's on Mars.
Oh, who knows? Who cares anymore?
Yeah.
People said it's on Mars, and you know what? And here's another thing. Blundell or anybody could easily come out and just be like, nope, it is just supposed to be the mysterious place of Shangri-La. Okay, cool.
It's where it should be, yeah.
History.
I think Black Ops 1 definitely was not on Mars. Possibly it could have been, but I think in Black Ops 3 it doesn't necessarily matter. It doesn't matter whether it is or isn't. I think the fact that the moon is the shape of Mars's moon is just to take the mick and like kind of have a nod towards the community theory that it's on Mars, and it's not actually on Mars.
Well, who cares if it is or not? It wouldn't impact the story either way.
Yeah, exactly. And if you are going to think about it story-wise, it could just be Monty taking the mick as well, because he breaks the fourth wall a lot. Going, oh look, I'll change the shape of the moon in this instance of Shangri-La.
Right. Well, that's the other thing that bothers me too. Is so then they release the Chronicles DLC. And then they change a bunch of stuff. Like, for example, oh, what is it? I think it's on, I think it's on Shangri-La. You can occasionally, a Horizon Drock zombie will spawn in.
They are in the map, yeah.
If it's any other game, people would just say, oh, it's a mistake in a used asset that wasn't supposed to spawn in and accidentally did, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it is.
Yeah.
But in this game, no, it means something. And maybe it does, but my point is, like, nothing can ever just be. It's always got to mean something, and the developers, Blundell especially, are perpetuating that thought.
Yeah, they always go on that it's like something that everything is intentional, but then suddenly the lines, they accidentally put in lines from other maps, like quotes and stuff, and people go crazy about it, and then he comes out and goes, oh no, it was just a mistake. So, like, how are we supposed to know which ones you're patching and not whatnot?
People understand when mistakes happen. You know, like what was the Call of the Dead wall texture that everyone was flipping out about? When it was pretty much in just reality a overlapped wall texture, but it looked like a face or something.
I don't know. I've never heard of that, actually.
That's it. It's some like minute. It was later patched out of the game, I believe. So it was just a mistake.
Yeah.
But like that's the kind of thing where someone would ask Blundell, "Hey, what's this?" And any normal developer would be like, "Oh, you know what? It's just the way the wall texture overlapped." Because that's like a rock, right?
Yeah.
So if you're making a rock texture, you like you take your texture and then you invert it, and you flip it around, and you make it look more dynamic and realistic.
Exactly. It's like the Ascension poster guy. That was just back in the day. That would have been early Richtofen, but no, we have to go back and change that and make that actually canon. That it isn't Richtofen and that it's now Yuri or Gersh or one of the two. Yuri, I think it is.
Right.
It's one of the
and now
Ascension scientists.
Richtofen doesn't have, you know, now he doesn't have a spacesuit because now it's not actually him, it's someone else. That was, you know, and this whole thing is just like, Richtofen was only seen like twice up to this point, so someone had a different interpretation of him.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly. Different actors can play the same people. Why not leave it the same in zombies?
Right.
And that's something that annoys me in like these kind of star-studded casts. Now every actor has to play somebody who looks like themselves. It's a video game. They're virtually made. Why do they have to look like themselves just to get the AAA actor's face in the game to make it worth more?
I agree on both ends of that one. You know, I think it's also cool, you know, when Ron Perlman's running around in my video game, but at the same time, I agree. You know, it doesn't have to be the character that they're playing. And I would argue that Infinite Warfare does that. Their characters don't necessarily represent... I mean, they do in an essence, but they don't necessarily as a whole. You know, it's not... You didn't port Seth Green's face over.
Yeah.
You know, the character is a very Seth Green character, and obviously Jay Farrell character is a black guy, but it's not, you know, him standing there.
Yeah, no. I don't think I could play it if it was literally the personality of that guy going crazy, how he was going on about bumper cars. In that interview, I could not have that in game.
Yeah, that's just Jay Farrow, though. He gets too excited about things.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to hype it up, and he hypes it up so much it sounds like he's being fake, but he's not. That's just how he is. Right.
Because you get a lot of actors who don't really understand the mode that they're playing, like what's going on, and because he was on about, oh, I had this pistol, I think it was a 9mm, and all he's got is the starting pistol. He hasn't worked out how to buy a gun yet. So like you're clearly not understanding the mode you're in, really.
Not everybody does. There are some guys who I feel like that if you're gonna voice act. Oh, and here's a good example. So this is obviously the Nocturne Totem map, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is the kind of thing where it's very clear that because Zombies mode was not supposed to be anything, that they just reused this asset for Zombies.
Yeah.
However, it's, again, the kind of shit where someone would be like, this means something, and the Zombies are in the campaign now.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know? And it's like... It's more like the speculation gets obnoxious, and the developers don't do anything to counter it. Like, they encourage ridiculous levels of speculation.
Yeah. And then they write the stories around it, which Blundell did with the Chronicles timeline.
Right, which is just like, why?
Yeah, the Ascension poster one annoyed me. Just leave it. We get that it's just a drawing of Richtofen that doesn't necessarily look exactly like him. Just leave it at that. We don't need to go back and... I know he's trying to close off the brackets and do that so we can move forward with the story, but just leave it. We've got it by now. We don't need you to suddenly change it.
Right, if you had left it, no one would have said anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of what it is now. Like, it's like a taint of Zombies. We get that it was just thrown together. It was what the mode was, and now everything has to be ironed out perfectly. No, we need to keep those roots as to what it was.
That's just the kind of the most that annoys me with the storyline, more than just like the direction it went. Yeah. It's more of that kind of stuff. And like how many YouTube channels have popped up in the past 6 months just dedicated to doing this kind of crap? Yeah. And like, oh, let's iron out the storyline. Which, by the way, again, they have to have YouTube channels explain the story because it's so kind of convoluted now. And especially with all the the way that they just keep perpetuating changes, now it's even more confusing. You think you understood it, but they change it on you.
Yeah.
Ah. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I think that a lot of like the voice actors sometimes don't, don't necessarily know what they're playing.
Yeah.
I feel like for voice acting, you may not actually need to though.
No, definitely not.
Especially in video games, but it is always nice when you get an actor who either plays video games or at least wants to understand what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, like Ron Perlman, for example, has done voice acting in the Fallout series. He did this, the Black Ops 3 maps. He's done stuff.
Yeah.
So he gets... But then you get, like, Bruce Campbell in Exo Zombies, and his interview is basically just like, well, you have to do Call of Duty. Like, he didn't really want to.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, A, you're a B-list actor anyway. I think you're cool, but still... So it's not like you really have the argument of what you want to do.
Yeah.
But B, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it.
Yeah.
No one's gonna wreck your career because you just like I don't know. I don't feel like being in. If you didn't want to be in, I don't know. I'm just gonna make. If you didn't want to be in the next Marvel movie, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
No one's gonna complain.
Like I wouldn't be in Transformers because I don't like it.
Right. Yeah, I'm not really into the next Transformers movie. It's not really something I see myself being in. Okay. I don't think anyone's gonna cry that Bruce Campbell turned down a role in Exo Zombies.
Because video games are storylines. They're hard things to understand. Like, and for an actor to follow along with it is, unless it's at the very start, then it can be difficult. For example, the four characters like Richtofen, Takeo, Dempsey, and Nikolai, they all all their voice actors know the story ish, and know about the thing. They can always talk about it well.
Nice work, Marines. Let's give Major Gordon the good news.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to a lot of these actors are not used to doing voice acting.
Yeah.
So, and voice acting is entirely different than regular acting because, well, all acting is done out of order.
Yeah.
It's just done based on scheduling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's easier to follow a script when you're acting it out live,
Yeah, and they don't have the people who they're talking to with them.
Right.
You can especially get that when playing these campaigns. You can just tell, like, for example, what's his name? Kiefer Sutherland, who plays Roebuck in this. He's just like sat there, he's been given levels, like they have a scale of 1 to 5 how loud to shout it, and just say this, and they just say it a bunch of times over, and then they put it all together afterwards. They don't actually convey the same tone. If one person's annoyed at someone, the other person might not necessarily respond as if the other person's just shouted at them. Like, you get that in these.
It really does come down to if you're a voice actor on a TV show, and some shows, like I think Rick and Morty does this a lot, they'll do live readings together. I tried to heal you and I got thing instead. I
think I'm clipped inside it.
No, I can get you. I just have to stand like. Oh, no, I died. So they'll do some live readings, so it's like, okay, they kind of get the gist of what everyone's doing. But in a game like this, Kiefer Sutherland goes into a booth and they say, you're playing Johnson or Tim Johnson of the 301 Marine Corps or whatever, you're gonna yell some stuff. All right, right now you're taking fire from the Japanese and you're telling your guys to get down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yell it louder, more stuff. And he says it like 100 times to get down, and then like, okay, now we're gonna move on to the next part.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're not used to doing voice acting, that's really confusing and weird, versus someone like Nolan North, who that's all he does pretty much.
Rooker
so he's used to doing that kind of stuff.
Rooker in Call of the Dead, his voice is gone now completely, because not completely, but is really breathy. because he's
Yeah.
done it so much. He's yelled so loud. Right, that's all I've got time for. I've got to go. But thank you for joining me. It's been very interesting conversation.
Yes.
Oh, 115 kills. Look at that.
Hey, there you go. Perfect way to end.
Yeah. Right. Thank you everybody for coming out too. Been a little bit of fun as well. Yeah, that was fun. I wasn't really paying attention to the game, but interesting conversations. Thank you for joining me.